Welcome back to Organized Chaos Stories with Shabana. Today is January 4th, 2026, and I was going to record last night as the goal is to record either Friday or Saturday and release then. But after I typed up all my notes, I wanted to spend time with my family, so I did that instead. And then went to bed with my favorite husband, which sounds kind of weird because he's my only husband and I've been only married once. Anyways, he is still my favorite. And that took years to truly feel and understand. If you're not married, that probably doesn't make any sense. But if you are married, it probably does make sense. Anyways, if you are listening to this episode, know this. I am talking to you and me, and I'm so glad to have you join in. Today marks 37 years of being adopted from India and coming to the United States. My brother and I arrived at JFK Airport that cold day. I was crying because I was asked to put on a puffy winter coat. In my brain, I had somehow fallen asleep, time traveled to another world, to a place where everyone did not have my skin color, spoke a different language, the weather was cold, and the smells and sights were strange, and I was exhausted. And thankfully, I had my brother with me and our chaperone to exchange us to our new, loving, adopted parents who would take us to our new forever home. I love our story and all we have created. In many ways, we have been so blessed. I wasn't going to add this in because I was going to record last night. However, now that today is today, it would be silly not to include what today has already held. Since my adopted family is all on the East Coast, they gathered for lunch, Indian food and ice cream cake, and then FaceTimed me and all passed the phone around so I could be a part of the celebration. They always know how to make me feel included and special from miles away in Washington State. I got to see my two brothers and their families, including my nieces and nephews, along with both sets of my parents and my auntie and my brother's dog, who also turned 2 today with our 37th family birthday. Anyways, today is such a special day, and we will be celebrating here with my family with ice cream cake and probably Indian food later, as we are 3 hours behind the East Coast. I am so blessed to have been adopted into such a loving and beautiful family. Now, let's dive into today's episode. And no, the intro and episode probably don't really even relate, but that's okay. I'm keeping the intro. And today is It's Chaos Unorganized instead. So let's roll with this. Action, take 2. All right, today I want to talk about the things we deny ourselves, the dreams we quiet, the fun we postpone, the desires we convince ourselves are too much, not practical, or not for us. And I want to start by asking you a few questions. When did we stop dreaming? When did we stop having fun? And why do we deny ourselves permission to want more? On Christmas Eve afternoon, my family did something we do almost every Christmas break. We went up to Seattle to see the gingerbread house display at the Sheraton Hotel. If you've never been, it's incredible. Every year, it gets a little fancier, a little more creative, and I always hope it raises even more money than the year before because it's a fundraiser. This year marked the 31st annual event. 31 years. The theme this year was Toy Shop Time Machine, and there were 4 massive gingerbread creations. I'm talking 6 feet tall structures. One was made entirely of board games, Battleship, Checkers, Connect 4, and more. One was a Toy Story themed treehouse. One was a Barbie dream house, and the last one, a giant Nintendo Switch. These designs were created by children, then brought to life by architects and bakers, all made of candy. And standing there, I had this thought. This all started with one idea. Over 31 years ago, someone asked, what if kids with type 1 diabetes designed big candy sculptures and architects and bakers helped bring them to life? And we found a place to host it and collected donations and just tried. They followed the fun, they followed the dream, and now, 31 years later, it's become a tradition for families like mine. That is what happens when we don't deny the idea. Which reminded me of something I was thinking previous this week. What drains you? What steals your time and energy? Because that is often where our creativity gets blocked. For you and me, it might be not getting enough sleep, not drinking enough water, too much noise, doom scrolling, physical clutter, financial stress, carrying extra weight, negative self-talk, internal self-wounds, and yes, sometimes it's people. Energy vampire. And yes, sometimes they are in our family, and it is okay to call it what it is. And sometimes it is the food we eat, the shows we binge, minus Stranger Things, of course. That is a must. The media we consume, all of it matters. So here's the invitation. Step back, reflect, release, and recharge. Why do we deny ourselves? Why do we not speak up when we have an idea? Why do we not talk to ourselves in kind, loving ways? The longest relationship you will ever have is the relationship you have with yourself. We better speak kindly to ourselves. Literally last night, laying in bed, I was thinking, Shabana, you are brilliant. You are magnificent. You are kind. You are sweet. You are caring. Speak the words before others do. Create an internal narrative where you actually like being around yourself, because the more peace you create inside, the more goodness you put out into the world. It starts with you. You go first, and then others will follow. You are the light. You are the magnet. There were so many years I denied my own desires, especially in my marriage. I stayed small, but I want to say this out loud. I have grown so much in the last 8 years, and I am so proud of myself. Now, if I want to do something, I speak up. We talk it through. If it works with our plans and budget, we make it happen. We've learned how to communicate, not fight for airtime. But the earlier years, they were hard. David and I got married after an 11-month long-distance courtship. I was in Minnesota, and he was in Texas. We saw each other 4 times during those 11 months, I believe. We talked twice a week on the phone before the days of FaceTime and free long-distance phone calls after 9 p.m. We made sure it was after 9 p.m. We wrote snail mail letters as well. We were very old-fashioned, as they say, or, well, exactly what the times had to offer. Then I moved to Washington State. I lived with his family for 3 months while he got a job and apartment 45 minutes away. We were fresh out of Bible school. We committed to extreme purity, like the whole Joshua Harris I Kissed Dating Goodbye book. No physical touch till the altar. The altar on our wedding day was the first time we held hands, and that was the hardest 3 months. And I'm really proud of us for doing that. I don't recommend it at all, but I am so proud of us. Anyways, I planned the wedding over the phone before FaceTime, Zoom, or Skype. Remind you, I am from Baltimore, Maryland, and we were getting married in the church where I grew up. We got married December 1st. It was a beautiful wedding. So many of our friends flew in from out of state and were in our wedding or helped us with the wedding. We felt so loved and so supported. It was such a great 36 hours. Our friends made a beautiful cake, and 2 other friends did the photography. Everything fell into place. A lady from church made all the floral arrangement. I'm so thankful for the community of friends and family support we had to make everything happen. I have felt a lot of my life has been so magical because I have chosen to ask questions, and if people say no, I try not to take it personally and I move forward. We were gifted the first 2 nights at an Airbnb, thank you Dad and Susan, and then gifted 2 weeks in Florida and did Disney for the first time for each of us. Then came back to Washington. It was Christmas, and then we got settled into our apartment with all our new gifts. And then February hit, and I became pregnant, but did not realize that until March. Thankfully, I had gotten established and got 2 jobs before finding out I was pregnant, and we were both pretty new to the area. But I'll be honest with you, I wish we had waited. I wish we had more time to get established, build savings, develop our relationship, create community. Instead, we were young, broke, isolated, and I was a very crazy and hormonal first-time pregnant young 23-year-old adult. I didn't grow up being taught a lot about birth control, and I didn't really know how to ask for help. And sadly, in the church environment, the message that was given to me was, wait to have sex until you're married. And if you are having sex, don't tell anyone, and don't get pregnant, and don't do anything on Sunday. And yet, here we are. Our oldest graduates high school in a year and a half. He is 17. 17. When they say time flies, it does. And a belief I have adopted is everything is always working out for me. And so far, so good. And I am going to, as they say, just keep swimming, swimming. David and I are stronger now than ever before. We still disagree, but we laugh more, we understand each other more. And the biggest thing that changed, I changed. I stopped trying to fix him. I stopped asking him to meet all my emotional and spiritual needs. I realized the healing was mine to do. I was holding on to broken pieces like shattered glass, gripping them so tightly they were cutting my hands. Healing does not start until we let go. And yes, it hurt, and yes, it bled. But that is how real healing begins, by releasing the grip of the shattered glass and dressing the wounds properly until the fresh air needs to do its job. All of this to say, don't deny what you want. The desires in your heart are there for a reason. Chase them with patience, with courage, and with trust in timing. I didn't know if my marriage would heal. I didn't know how long it would take, but I was willing to work on myself. And now, 18 years later, 7 trips to Seattle, a stronger marriage, and a fuller life, it's been worth it. Looking back at 2025, I wrote down a bunch of things that I was so thankful for, but here are just a few. I spent more willing time at the farm with my youngest. I hired my first coach. I led a very successful fundraiser at school. I drove out of state for my first organizing job, so I overcame that. I've helped so many clients declutter this year and gain peace and freedom in their home, and I love the transformative work of helping women declutter their house. I started this podcast in 2025. I went to India to see the orphanage I was from. I spent more time with the kids and my spouse. I learned to love playing the game of Scrabble, and there's so many other things that I wrote down. And just to encourage you to reflect back on 2025, there's 52 weeks to look at and scroll through your phone. There's so many things that I'm not going to read off everything, but it's such a good reflection to go back and look at all the things that made you smile. On Friday, David and I went out to a new coffee shop, and I set a timer for 7 minutes, and we both answered this journal prompt. If money wasn't an issue, what things would we like to do this year? This did include non-money related things for us individually and as a family, and for things for our kids as well. And here are just a couple things that we wrote down. Declutter the house more, buy experiences, not random things on Amazon at 2 a.m. More trips. Some potential trips may be Hawaii, Baltimore, road trip, Arizona, calling in more financial abundance. For me, I want to do more out-of-state decluttering jobs, helping more women gain freedom and peace in their home, more time with friends. We both want to shed some more weight this year, and there was many things on it, but those are just a few. And then again, I encourage you, if you haven't yet, set that timer for 7 minutes and write down, if money wasn't an issue, what are things that you would like to accomplish in 2026? Because that's the whole point. Follow the fun and let your heart lead you, because you never know what opportunities are there, but you have to start dreaming and you have to take that first step. As I wrap up this first episode of 2026, I am asking you, what feelings do you want to feel this year? What were all the good things you are reflecting and celebrating looking back at 2025? And if money wasn't an obstacle, what would you love for 2026? Please start dreaming again, because who knows, one inspired idea might lead to 31 years of bringing others continuous joy, like the gingerbread house in Seattle every year for a good cause. Follow the fun, follow the bliss. And another thing I want to add to this is, Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. Back in high school, so I had turned 16 when I was in 10th grade. And when I was 15, I had applied to Baskin Robbins. And I had put in my application. And then 2 weeks before I had turned 16, they had called me. And my mom passes me the phone, is like, oh, it's Baskin Robbins. I was like, oh, okay. And so the guy's like, hi, is this Shabana? And I'm like, oh yeah, hey, hi. And he's like, are you still interested in potentially working here? And I put the phone down. I look at my mom. I'm like, Mom, do I want to work at Baskin Robbins? And she's like, I don't know. Do you want to? I was like, I don't know. That'd be cool. And I get back on the phone. I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, okay. He's like, okay, you can come in for an interview kind of thing. And so it was my first official job. And so I go in for the interview and it was fine. And I guess he just liked me or whatever. And I got the job and I ended up being at that job for 4 years and ending up loving it. I mean, who wouldn't love eating ice cream and serving people? And then eventually I learned how to make the cakes and how to write on a cake and different things like that. And then that ended up being one of my first jobs here in Washington State, because I had all that experience at my first job at home in Baltimore. So it's just funny. But anyway, the 31 and the 31, you see the correlation where I went there. Anyway, I hope you have a great 2026, and who knows what next week's episode will be about, but I hope you tune in and listen, and love to you all. Bye. This podcast is sponsored by Happy Mail. I created Happy Mail for when you don't have the words, Happy Mail does. Happy Mail sends handwritten cards of encouragement that uplift, comfort, and reminds everyone they matter. Happy Mail is better than a McDonald's Happy Meal, spreading kindness, not calories. Click the link in the show notes and get your Happy Mail sent ASAP. Limited to U.S. residents only. Hey you, yes you. Thank you so much for listening to Organized Chaos, Stories with Shabana. If you love this episode as much as I did, hit that subscribe button, leave an outstanding review, and share it with a friend who needs some inspiration. Thank you for being part of this community. Remember, in every bit of chaos, there is always a story waiting to emerge. Who knows, maybe sharing your story might inspire others to share theirs. The possibilities are endless. Let's live in the possibilities.